Shalom. My name is Yehoshua ANSWERS. I'm making this video from Jerusalem. I'm a didactic scientist, and I'm commenting on Mr. Gingrich's video. In general, its title is "I'm Deeply Worried," and in particular, the reasons why the threat of terrorism. And the lack of perception of the gravity of the threat to America in the general population. I'm wondering if Newt, if you have a clear idea of what is the root of terrorism globally. I'm sure the common ideas of religious extremism and the like will come to mind very quickly. But I'm really speaking in terms of a strong reductionism, where we get to the root of the problem in its broader and deeper context. Specifically, I'm referring to global terrorism is the epitome. It embodies the epitome of the extremes of man and mankind's exile from God and from his authentic self. In secular terms, there are different expressions. As it would be in secular terms, let's see now, it would be separation. Man's separation from his authentic self and from God. And if he's not religious, just from his authentic self. Okay, so if he's not separated, he can ascend in terms of secular humanism and do a lot of good deeds in the world and grow and be educated and help a lot of people and help himself and his family. Okay, so traditional spiritualism not being the choice of everyone in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but where is it that they come together? We're going to talk about that in a minute, which is and the reason why. The secular humanism and traditional spiritualism converge in this present in this time in history, and we'll talk about, as I said, we'll talk about that why in a minute. But more particularly, the root cause of global terrorism is very important, because it is only through understanding it and preparing and executing a comprehensive, enlightened, multi-level, comprehensive response do we solve this problem. So to get on with it, the problem of man and mankind is exile from God and from his authentic self. Now, like I said, if it's a secular separation from one's authentic self in the secular humanist construct. Okay, that being the real problem, the question is, what's the solution? First, I want to share with you something that you said you're deeply worried, but I want to share with you something that I think is very important, and I'm not going to prejudge what your reactions will be. I'll just simply share it with you, and it's this, and that is we are now and have experienced a process of global transformation for the past 18 years. It began in 1991, and that is the collapse of the local reality, and that ends man and mankind's exile from God and from his authentic self. It was first observed by me 18 years ago, and it was confirmed the same year, and then further confirmed the next year and in subsequent years since. And when we come to 9/11, the question of that event was a further confirmation of the collapse of the local reality. We saw it in Iraq, in the Soviet Union, December 25th, 1991, with the collapse of the former Soviet Union. What was the local reality in the Soviet Union? It was communism. Next year, 1992, collapse of the local reality in Yugoslavia. What was the local reality? It's communism. 1995, November 5th, the murder of Rabin, collapse of the local. What was the local reality in Israel? Zionism. A lot of denials, a lot of spends, a lot of revisionism from Putin doesn't matter. It's finished. 9/11, collapse of the Twin Towers. This was a very significant event in the history of man and mankind. Why? Because this was the signature event of the collapse of the local reality, which confirmed the end of man and mankind's exile. It's a very complex esoteric, and I'm going to its grammars. The meta-narrative has grammars on 4 levels, particularly the psychosocial, the behavioral, the cognitive, the psycholinguistic levels. I've written up their particular meanings, but it is quite significant. This is a paradigm shift. In history, we have a paradigm shift. From what to what? Okay, it's the end of man's exile and the ascent of the quantum reality to inhabit redemption for the religious, and for the secular, it's the end of the pre-modern, post-modern era, and the ascent of the post-modern era to going from a behavioral mammal to a cognitive being, namely man. This is the purpose of why God created us. Okay, having said that, these are things that we should be really focused on. And in terms of Ahmadiyyan, I would say to you that Ahmadiyyan it would be quite distressed and have indigestion and sleepless nights and maybe even a nervous breakdown if he actually knew what I just gave over in this video of what the meta-narrative is of the collapse of the Twin Towers on 9/11, 2001. Far be it from either the banker or the Kablan, and I'm referring here the banker being Saddam Hussein. There was no smoking gun. The only thing that Cheney got right and Bush got right was that Saddam Hussein was indeed the banker, and Osama bin Laden was the Kablan. He was the contractor, and Saddam would turn over in his grave, and I shouldn't say that, but certainly Osama bin Laden would be very, very extremely displeased if he knew what, in fact, the collapse of the Twin Towers, the tragic death of almost 3,000 people brought to man and mankind. Out of such a horror will come a very, very remarkable, unprecedented good in human history. And this signature event signifies a sea change and a paradigm shift in man's history. And that is the redemption of man and mankind. And it is confirmed by the collapse of the local reality and the science, the underlying science that is supportive of this, which alluded, I might add, Einstein was John Stuart Bell's the Bell theorem. He died in 1991, 1992, which defines the inequality and thereby the incompleteness of the quantum mechanical model, and this identifies the non-local reality. It is through the medium of the non-local reality that we can understand and comprehend God and the way God works, the spirit world, the quantum entanglement, the complexities of the local reality tells us, much about quantum physics, but it is the non-local reality that is the great surprise. Okay. This confirms not only does God exist, but his workings are beyond all comprehension. Okay. Where does this leave us? Okay, we have a lot of challenges ahead. I'm tired and the time is running out on the video, so I'll simply say that the solution to the collapse of the local reality globally is Humanomics in general. It's the new East-West convergence model because both systems are collapsed or imploding. It's comprised of 2 paradigms, the new economic paradigm and its central organizing principle received to give, which is the cognitive behavioral science first principle. I'm the author of them. 2,400 pages published on the internet, a couple hundred graphics. I'm Yehoshua Yaakov, a didactic scientist from Jerusalem. Thank you for listening. We'll talk more another time. Thank you.